Welcome back to Fire Up Connect. We just had our session with Daniel Feynman of Strategic Business Consultants, his Build It Backwards company. And we now have our next guest, Mike Gruley, who is an EOS implementer for EOS Worldwide. And what that is it's a highly acclaimed, simple business management system that's designed specifically for privately owned and growth-oriented businesses. So welcome, Mike.
Great to be here, James. Thanks for having me.
Sure thing. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more. What is the Entrepreneurial Operating System, or EOS, as the acronym is?
Well, thanks for inquiring. I think EOS is fantastic. Yeah, EOS does stand for Entrepreneurial Operating System, and actually, it all began with a book written by Gino Wickman called Traction, and it's a book designed for entrepreneurs, privately owned business owners. And essentially, what EOS is it's a complete, proven business operating system that really gives business owners three things by utilizing simple and practical tools. And those three things are vision, traction, and health. Vision from the standpoint of getting the leadership team of the organization all on the same page with where we're going and how we're going to get there. Traction from the standpoint of getting everyone on that team disciplined with an accountability towards that vision, where they're going. And then healthy from the standpoint of creating a leadership team that's just cohesive, functional, open and honest, just really working well together, because sometimes leaders don't always work well together. And as goes that leadership team, so goes the rest of the organization, because eventually everyone in the organization sees that vision. They love the vision. They want to be part of it. They're all accountable and disciplined, driving towards that vision. And they're doing it in a healthy atmosphere of cohesiveness and functionality, and just a group of people that love working together. And so that's really what embodies all of EOS. That's the goal we have in EOS.
Okay. So maybe you can tell me a little bit more about your background and what led you to become an EOS implementer.
Oh my gosh. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, since my early 20s. I grew up in a family of 6 kids and with a family business. We all worked in the business. So I really had a front row seat of how the rigors of business can be, the ups and downs. And for whatever reason, I was one of the 6 that really had a fire in my belly about being a business owner. I started a business when I was with some partners, and I was in my mid-20s. It was a 2.5-year nightmare for me. I segued out of that business on a Friday, and on Monday started my own business, just me and an assistant. Built the business into several states and had it for 20 years, and eventually sold it. And but along the way, I felt the frustrations of owning a business. And along the way, I ran into EOS, read the book Traction, thought it was a book written about me, but I realized I'm not that unique. I'm just like every other business person. And it really resonated with me. So I hired an EOS implementer to get us on track with EOS, and it changed our business. It changed my life. And I loved it so much that I thought my encore business, after I had moved on from my business, I would be an EOS implementer, so I could help other business owners break through the ceilings that they were hitting as business owners.
Well, that's a great testimonial, since you benefited from it yourself, and you can speak to that when you speak to different business owners. And so, specifically, what type of businesses do you help?
Honestly, James, it's very agnostic to business, because all the essential business problems and challenges are all the same. So whether you're selling ping pong balls or ice cream cones or widgets, it really is all the same. I have clients that range all the way from chicken farmers to accountants to manufacturing companies. Yes, really had a chicken farmer. It works for all companies. Typically, the type of company that's the sweet spot for EOS is like 10 to 250 employees, with owners who are open-minded, they're successful, they're growth-oriented, but they're frustrated because they feel like they're working harder and harder, and as they grow, the harder they work, the less they're getting, and they're working really hard, and they're just kind of stuck. They've hit a ceiling, and they need something to break through that ceiling.
Well, you mentioned something I think is very important is that they're open-minded and growth-oriented. What are some of the challenges that you initially face with some owners, CEOs? Obviously there can be, the love for their own product and a little bit of ego involved and someone else coming in. What are the biggest challenges and how do you overcome that?
That's a really great question, James. Anyone that can start a business usually has to have a lot of determination, and usually they're a bit stubborn too. I'd say that about myself, because they have to be stubborn enough to think that I can do this when probably all their friends are saying, well, I don't know about that one, James, that's a bad idea, right? So we all entrepreneurs have all been there. So getting them to change, yeah, it's tough, because that sentence that I often hate to hear is well, this is how we've always done it. Well, what got you here isn't going to get you there. That's why you've hit a ceiling and you're feeling that frustration. And that's absolutely normal. And I can speak to it myself. I was the poster child for needing EOS. And you just reach a point where the processes and procedures and the way you went about running your business in the past just don't work anymore at the level you're at. And it's time to change. Honestly, some are willing to change and some just aren't.
So I guess you've got to determine that to see if people are even willing to be helped. And, on that note, would you say that you learned more from your mistakes and failures or from your successes, or some combination of the two?
Absolutely. I learned everything from my failures. And I think that's what I bring to the table for clients. Look, if you're an honest business person, an entrepreneur building a business on your own, if you can honestly say that most of the time, half the decisions you make aren't exactly right, and some of them are really wrong, then you're not being honest with yourselves. Some of the best CEOs, some of the best entrepreneurs, some of the most innovative people in the world will tell you they are wrong often. And we have to be able to make mistakes to fail forward, as I would say. And many of these people who get that type of mindset, that live in that place where they can say, I'm not perfect, but I'm going to keep trying. Those are the people that are open-minded enough to change. And they're usually the ones that are very successful.
Yeah, that makes sense. Can you give me a little peek into how the EOS system actually works? How do you apply all this?
Yeah, well, I'll give you just a general philosophy of how EOS works. Every entrepreneur is running their business every day, and they feel like they have 136 things coming at them simultaneously all the time. It's like that game Whack-A-Mole, where the kids bang the moles down. It's just constant. But to the extent in EOS, to the extent we feel that they can strengthen just 6 key components of their business, those things all tend to fall into place, because all of those things are just symptoms of some deeper root cause that lies in these 6 areas. And those areas are this: vision, having a clear vision. Where are we going and how are we going to get there? That's the first key component. The next one is people. You got to have the right people in the right seat. You can't achieve a great vision without great people. The third one is data. Are you actually measuring your data? Are using objective, factual information and measuring your progress in your business, as opposed to feelings and emotions and egos and all that other stuff that tends to get in the way? And the fourth one is issues. Are you good at solving issues? Great companies can prioritize what's most important to be fixed or solved or approached today and solving it. That's what great companies do, that prioritizing those and solving them at the root, setting them up, knocking them down, making them go away forever. The fifth component is a process component, just making sure that all of our core processes are done the best and right way every time. So they're consistent, there's scalability, there's efficiency, more profitability, and essentially just a lot more fun to run your business. And the last component is what we call the traction component. And that's just being able to have systematic, regular weekly meetings, quarterly meetings that are effective and productive. So you're always driving towards the same objectives, the same vision all the time with your company. And those 6 key components combined really embody everything that EOS hopes to do, getting people strong in all 6 of those components.
Well, thank you for laying that out. It's a very systematic approach. How long is a typical engagement with a client?
That it depends on the client. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, but I would typically say it's probably anywhere between a year and a half to 2 years. As an EOS implementer, we don't come in as consultants. So we're not the gurus, we're not the answer people. We're coming in there as teachers, facilitators, and coaches. So we teach a process, we facilitate the knowledge that's in that room, because 90% of the time the answer is in the room, and we coach them. And at some point, they're not going to need us anymore. They're going to say, we've got the system, we know how to do the meetings, we have it down. And so the goal is not for me to embed myself into their organization, it's to help them learn the process, do it themselves, and then get out of the way and let them run their business.
Sounds like a plan. So Mike, how can people get a hold of you if they're interested in learning more about the EOS system and possibly working with you?
Well, thanks, James. Well, first of all, phone number is 248-761-4401, or you can go to my website, which is eosworldwide.com/Mike, M-I-K-E -Gruley, GRULEY.com. And there's a lot of information about EOS on the site, and you can set up an appointment with me if you like by clicking the link on that site.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Mike. It was very interesting and informative. And please stay tuned. We will be back after a short station break. And then I'll be doing my segment on scaling business, scaling sales processes and business results and profitability.